If you have a drone and you want to film yourself, today I want to show you a few different ways that you can use pretty much any drone to film yourself. The great thing with most modern drones is they almost all feature some sort of tracking mode or active track, smart track, whatever they want to call it. And you can use that in a variety of different ways. But the most basic and one of the best ones to use is the pretty simple follow behind shot. Now the follow behind shot can be used in a couple of different ways, and I am going to show you kind of a great way to do this manually if you don't have some sort of tracking mode in your drone. But the follow behind shot is a great way to show you as you move into a location or as you're going from point A to point B. It's a good transition shot when you're trying to tell a story, and it's just in generally a pretty nice shot to show you in the area you're in doing whatever it is you might be doing. Another great way to use active track is to follow from the side, and this is a really good transition shot when you're moving from one location to maybe a completely different location, because it shows you or your subject basically walking through a space. And so it's a great way to transition from point A to point B, or from one thing in the story to the next thing in the story, because of how it shows your subject moving through a location. It's a great way to film yourself because the drone active track does a lot of the heavy lifting. So aside from just holding onto the controller in case something happens, but if you're in a big open space like I am today, it's a really great way to film yourself because you don't really need to worry too much about the drone running into something, and you can film yourself in a way that you don't really have to worry too much about where the drone is. Obviously, be safe, but you can get some great shots using the follow behind shot and the side shot. Another great way to use active track, and actually even drones without true active track like the DJI Mini 2 can do this, is use a tracking mode but spotlight, where the drone stays in one position and follows you through a movement like I just showed you as I walked up to the camera. Using active track that way is a great way to show your person, your subject, you moving through or into or out of a location, because it gives you movement in the camera, but the camera doesn't necessarily move. It's just a great option to be able to use something like that with the smart modes that are available on most of the drones that are out there today. Another way to use what a lot of drones have with some sort of active track system is the spotlight mode, where you select a subject, but your subject maybe isn't moving, like I'm standing here talking to you right now on the camera, but you have the drone circle around the subject, circles around you. It just gives a really nice way to kind of show off where you are at the moment and show off maybe what's around you at the same time. Another cool thing with spotlight mode is that you can move the sticks on the controller and the drone will keep you in frame. So basically you can push forward, backward, side to side, and the drone will keep you in frame while you're moving, which gives some really powerful shot composition tools. It gives you a lot of flexibility for the types of shots you can get and can give you some really interesting results. Before I show you more ways to film yourself, we're actually going to go to Seward, Alaska and be down on the shore. Truth be told, I filmed a whole bunch of this video and it was completely out of focus, so I had to refilm up to now. But the rest of this video is going to take place in Seward, Alaska, which is also very beautiful, and there's some great tips coming up. Even drones that don't have active track, most of them have some sort of automated flight mode, so you can use these to capture great footage of yourself in a location. Things like Droney, Orbit, anything like that, Circle, whatever they call it, is going to be great for just giving more movement and more motion to your shots while you're filming yourself. And it makes it super easy because the drone basically handles everything. The one caveat is you want to make sure that you don't have obstacles around, because not all drones have obstacle avoidance, and not all drones with obstacle avoidance will see all obstacles, if that makes sense. Things like small branches, thin wires, stuff like that can definitely slip past obstacle avoidance and cause issues. Don't ask me how I know that. Let's just say I know it. Now, most drones have stuff like quick shots, which gives you Droney, Circle at the very least, both of which are really powerful and great for storytelling and capturing footage of yourself. If you can select a high contrast area like this, where the drone can see a point, not a person, then the best part is you can add a whole nother element. Again, where you move into frame or move out of frame, which makes it much more interesting for people to watch. The other thing that at least all of the newer DJI drones, I think since the Air 2S, all now have is something called master shots, which is what the drone is doing right now. It flies for 2 minutes, captures a bunch of different kinds of footage, and again, like I've been doing, is select an area that is not a person, and the drone will do it regardless of what you do while you're moving around the space. So it makes it really useful for being able to capture great footage of yourself. Now you might say, Jake, my drone doesn't have any active track or any smart features, things like that, so what else can I do? Well, I've got a few ways that you can still film yourself and get great footage without using any sort of active track, smart feature, anything like that. And the first Probably the most obvious one is to use it like a tripod in the sky. The cool thing about drones is that you can put them in places you can't put normal cameras. So you can use it like a tripod in the sky. Put the drone straight up above you and do a straight top-down shot looking at you as you walk through an area looking straight down. It's very cool because it's a perspective that we don't normally see or very rarely see. And it just gives a very interesting look and an interesting perspective. Now, the key here is to make it more interesting is to actually have you start out of frame and then walk into and through the frame and then back out of frame, because that makes the shot much more interesting. And as a bonus here, if you can find leading lines, like I've done here diagonally, that draw people's attention to your subject as they're walking through, so you want your subject to kind of walk along the leading line, it really makes it a much more interesting shot. But the other way you can use this is putting a camera in places you normally can't put a camera, like in the middle of this stream here. I didn't want to wade out there and stick my camera out in the middle of the stream, so I put my drone out in the middle of the stream, about a foot off the water. I mean, it was hovering about this high, and used it to film myself as I was walking by. The cool part of this is you can get some really cool reflections in the water of you as you walk around, but also it gives you a perspective, again, that's much more difficult to normally get because people know, like, it's water. You don't normally stand in the middle of water to get a shot. And another place to get this is like this bridge, which I've used a lot in this video, but it's a cool subject, so why not? Having the drone hover just off the side of the bridge makes it very cool because it's, again, not a place that you would normally have a camera, but it gives you a great perspective of you or your subject as you walk through the area. So use the drone to your advantage, put it in the places where you wouldn't normally put a camera and get a good composition, a good framing, and then capture some great footage. Another great way to use the drone is to actually just set it on something and use it as a static camera. Like I've got it sitting on this stump right here, and I'm using the 3x zoom on the Mavic 3 Pro, which is really cool because it gives you a little bit of blurry background. But set it on a stump or on a rock or something and just have it be a static camera like you would use a regular camera but without a tripod. You could set it low on the ground to get a really low angle shot, or you can set it up on something to do more of a talking head thing like this. If you have something like the DJI mic, you can even synchronize your audio to it, and then it's great because you get this really nice camera. If you do things like moving through the frame or in and out of frame, it makes it a lot more interesting. Also, varying the heights of different things that you're going to capture. So a low angle shot versus a talking head shot like this will give you a lot more interest in your shots. Now, you might have a much older drone that has no intelligent flight features, or maybe you just have a drone that has no intelligent flight features, no follow mode, no active track, nothing like that. You can still get some great footage by doing it all manually. Now, a key for this, at least on some of the newer DJI drones, is you can set the maximum speed that the drone will move in the mode that you're in. So in Cine mode here, I'm going to go into the menu, I'm going to go into control, go down to the gain and expo tuning. And in Cine mode, the fastest I want it to go is about 4 miles an hour, because that's about my average walking speed, is about 3.5 to 4 miles an hour. So that allows me to basically just set the stick at full forward or full sideways and get pretty much a matching speed with me. So it's much more easy, or it's much easier for me to match my speed as I'm running around and walking around without having to kind of check the controller every once in a while and make sure I'm at the right speed. It's a lot easier because I don't have to think about it, just full stick, and that's the fastest that the drone's going to go. Another thing to note, that when you're filming yourself or when you're filming anything, you want to vary the distance between the drone and your subject or you, because that gives you more to work with when you're editing the video. So if you do a close shot, then next one do a really wide shot, or usually start with the really wide shots and then do a little bit closer, or really, really close maybe, depending on what you're doing. Getting that different field of view between your shots will give you a lot more interest when you go to put together an actual video. Now, you're going to want to watch this video right here to see the different types of shots that I make sure I capture anytime I go out on a professional client shoot. I use them on pretty much everything. As always, if you have questions, ask me in the comments below, or join my live stream Wednesday nights at 4 p.m. Alaska time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you again soon in the next video. Cheers.